compartilhe nossos vídeos, se inscreva no canal e deixe seu like. Desde já agradecemos.
Be protective and careful of your training partner. Please. Let's do a quick review on some of the techniques we saw in the basic series. We had the arm lock from this position that you secure the arm. Bring your second hand under. Hold your own wrist. Keep your head down. Lift the elbow up and slide the hand this way. The other side, please. Be sure to keep your elbow next to his neck. Hold the wrist without the thumb. Second hand comes under. Hold your own wrist. Keep your head out of the way so that he can't punch at you with that free hand. By keeping his hand glued to the ground, lift the elbow up and slide the hand like a paintbrush, going this way. One more time. Secure the arm, hold your wrist, protect your face, and bring it down. If you want to use your forehead on the back of your hand like this, it adds more leverage to the movement and increase your chance of being able to control his arm that way. Keep the elbow close next to his ear. Hold the wrist without the thumb. This hand goes under. Secure your own wrist. And if you want to reinforce your leverage, you can put your forehead on the back of the hand. Lift the elbow and slide down. Another move we saw in the previous series was when the person wants to push you back like this. Put both hands on the chest and keep the weight on his chest so that you can bring your legs up this way. So the hands on the chest, bring the leg over, and end up with the arm locked this way. By lifting the hip up, you will hyperextend the joint of the elbow. That's the move. One more time, please. He puts the hands on the chest. I'll bring both hands around his arm. The arm that's going to get broken is between your arms. So if you want to catch this arm on the arm lock, you bring your hand this way. If you want to catch this arm, you bring your hands this way. Hands on the chest. Jump up. Keep the weight on the chest because that will facilitate the pivoting. Hold his hand on your chest, feet on the ground, lift your hip up, and hyperextend the arm. When you do this move, be sure that you hold your hand with the thumb around the wrist. Because if you just do this, he can turn the hand and then escape from this position. It gives you much more control if you secure the hand with your thumbs around the wrist. So then lift your hip up. Okay, let's add a few new tricks. This is called the cross choke. Hand goes into the collar. The second hand goes on the other collar. Put your head down and then squeeze the neck. It will be easier for you to see what I'm doing and practice the techniques if we do it standing up. So Royce, let's get up, please. It's a very simple technique, but the big trick behind executing this movement correctly is remembering that you should not rely on your arm strength. So the first thing you want to do is with one hand open the collar so that the second hand has easy access to the back of the neck. I'm grabbing the collar this way. My hand just slides underneath all the way in. The second hand goes under the first arm and grabs the cloth in a fist-like motion like this. So the first hand goes in the collar, close my hand like a fist. The second hand goes under, grab the other collar, and with both hands in, I will turn the wrist, bring him towards my chest, and expand the chest. So one, second hand goes in, two. My arms are very relaxed. Close my hand like a fist, and then I'm going to bring him close to me and expand the chest. Once you bring your hand into the collar and the second hand grabs the other cloth like this, your hands should try to touch each other back there. The idea is to open the collar, bring your hand around, bring the other hand underneath. The second hand is always under the first arm. If you can do this with nobody there in front of you, just grab the hands like this would be great. Close your hand like a fist. See almost like a triangle or a diamond inside of your hands. From this position, you turn the wrist this way so that this blade of the wrist rests against the person's neck. This is the move. From here, please don't arm strength the whole choke. The plan is to use your chest and expansion of your shoulders backwards so that the movement is this and not arms pulling around his neck. So one, grab the hand on the collar, the second hand goes in, turn your wrists, and as you bring the opponent close to your chest, is if you want to do an inhaling motion. The idea is to expand by using the chest expansion. One more time, Royce, please. Grab the collar, the second hand goes way back in, close your hand. As you turn your wrists, you want to bring your opponent towards your chest and expand your chest this way. Let me turn this way here, please. Hand goes into the collar and close your hand like a fist. One. Second hand goes under and grabs the other collar. That's the move. Be sure to turn your wrists this way so that the blade of the wrist rests against the neck. So as I turn the wrist, it should be very tight already. Then as I bring him close towards me, once again, do not rely on your arms to pull the choke or do this kind of motion. That's absolutely wrong. One, two, bring him to your chest and then expand the chest. If you do it right, it doesn't even hurt your opponent. It's something that is so subtle that it's almost like a numbing feeling. It actually feels good for the person who's being choked out. So the hands go in, turn the wrist. Isn't that right, Royce?
It's called a sleeve.
So you grab the hands on the collar, turn the wrist, expand the chest. Most people are going to grab the neck and just squeeze. Like any other technique, I mean, like most the chokes, even if a poorly applied technique is going to be effective. If you have a 16 size neck and you put a 15 size shirt on your neck, which is, a little bit tight, and you go to work in the morning, by the time you drive into the parking lot, you'll be passing out, falling asleep. So any choke is something that you have to be taking very careful application with. Therefore, I enforce you, as I said, I urge you, as I mentioned before, to be very careful with your training partner. And the person who is taking the choke, don't try to resist too much. You have to be aware of the change on the feeling on that kind of movement. So the hand goes into the collar, make it really snug, turn your wrist, and bring him close to you. As you expand the chest, he is going to start feeling lightheaded. If you do it right, it should be something like 1, 2, 3, 4 type thing. He goes in the twilight zone. All right, so one last time here. So the hand goes into the collar this way. The second hand goes under, way in. Turn your wrists and bring him towards your chest. The idea is to expand the chest and not pull with the arm. Okay? 1, 2, and expand the chest. It will make all the difference. If as you apply the technique, you make sure to open the lapel first with one hand. Don't try to just catch this hand because you can't get a very comfortable grip. Use the hand to open the collar to facilitate the initial grip. The second hand goes under, all the way back. Close your hand like a fist, turn the wrist and bring him towards your chest to squeeze the neck. Lay down. So once you get in this position here, allow yourself an extra second to loosen up the collar on your opponent's gi. Hand goes into the neck. The second hand goes way under. Look, Royce is lifting the head up so that you can see what's happening on my hands. Close your hand like a fist. Because I can't pull him up as I did standing up, I bring my body down. I come down towards him, putting my head on the ground, and then squeezing the neck. All right. Every time you feel you're looking to get a choke on somebody's neck, keep in mind that you don't want to just squeeze the person's neck. That's not what you want. What you're working with is that you're stopping the circulation to the brain. So you have to try to feel your wrist sealing against the person's neck. You want to stop, you want to kind of, it's a piece of clay that you mold against the person's neck. That's the kind of feeling you're looking for. So your hand or your wrist should be relaxed so that you kind of take the shape of the neck around his neck. My hand is very loose, like there's a snug feeling around the person's neck. The person down here almost likes that hand like a pillow around his neck. You should make it comfortable for him. Anyway, the hand goes around the neck this way. The second hand, if instead of going under to grab the cloth this way, you want to do this way here, it's also an option. Grabbing over the arm. But if you're going over the arm, your thumb this way, this time is over like this. Let me turn your hand to the side a little bit. So the first hand goes into the collar this way here. And the second hand, instead of going under for this choke that we saw, the cross choke, you bring with the thumb inside. Again, you close your hand like a fist. Don't grab the cloth like this with your thumb inside, because you put pressure and stress on this thumb. Instead, grab the thumb over your four fingers. You wrap your four fingers on the cloth, and the thumb will go over the four fingers. That's the idea, is to wrap it like this. First hand on the collar, the second hand goes way in. The four fingers wrap on the cloth first, and then the thumb sits on top of it. Like that. From here, the blade of the arm goes across his chest, and once again I put my weight on top of him. As I go down, squeeze the neck. So the first hand goes into the collar, the second hand goes over with the thumb inside. Rest your weight on top of him and squeeze. The other side, please, boys. The hand grabs the collar inside here. Second hand goes over. The thumb goes way inside. Close your hand like a fist this way. Bring the blade of the arm across the neck and rest your whole body weight on top of it. Hand on the collar, way in. Notice that I'm always creating a little extra space by pulling the collar open. One, the second hand goes over. Close your hand like a fist. If I have to loosen up the grip on the first hand, I will do that to give me a little more leeway with the cloth. Second hand goes way back. Turn your wrist inwards, keeping your wrist straight, kind of scraping down into his neck. Bring your head down and squeeze the neck. Another technique that is very effective from this position is what we call the kneading choke. One hand grabs the collar, the second hand will grab the cloth this way. That's the. From here, you want to bring the cloth across his neck. Not too much to go out of his neck with your hand. Not too much to go with the hand out of his neck. You want to rest these last two fingers right here on the side of the artery, on the carotid around the side. So you grab the cloth, take the slack out, bring it across the neck, and as you pull back with this hand, lean the body weight down into the neck. The idea is to rest your body weight on the person's neck. So you take the slack with one hand, and the other hand just pushes into his neck. As if you want to do this motion here, like this. This is the plan, as if you want to put all your weight on that arm. So you pull back with one hand and drive in the other hand. Hand goes across the collar, bring it across, and as I push one hand, I will pull the other one. Keep this arm straight so that you can transfer the body of the weight of the whole body onto that hand. So the idea is to do this move. That's what you're looking for. Hand goes across the neck like this. Take the slack out with one hand and push in, leaning the whole body weight into the person's neck. This way, and the other side will be exactly the same thing. You take the slack out. The purpose of this hand is to pull the cloth so that there's no loose material around his neck. Tighten up like a hangman's noose. Across the neck, pull back with one hand and drive the body weight into the move. This is the motion you're looking for. The leverage comes from the upper body here. driving the weight downwards. Pull back with one hand and then lean forward. One last time here. So you're mounted on your opponent. Get a hold of the cloth this way or this way. One hand pulling and one hand pushing. And drive the whole body weight on top of this move. The next move is when you grab one hand on the collar with the thumb inside first. The second hand grabs further back out. And now, like a guillotine, you will bring the blade of the arm across the neck this way. The idea is to get a real deep bite with that first hand down towards the ground, touching the ground with the hand. Keep your wrist straight. The second hand grabs the collar from underneath right here, so to prevent the cloth from giving and moving around the neck. And then bring the elbow down to the ground. So if this hand is touching the ground, get this from the side here for a second. If this hand is touching the ground, and I secure a good grip next to the ground, and I want to bring my elbow down, by the time the elbow touches the ground, his head goes boom, 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 roll out. So you grab the collar, secure the wrist. Open the collar and grab with this hand. The second hand comes in. You don't have to grab too deep with that second hand, just enough so the cloth doesn't slip around his neck. And then bring your elbow down in like a guillotine type motion, like a paper cutter that you just kind of slice down. So the hand goes in, grabs the cloth. The second hand grabs a little further back here and bring this elbow to the ground. And just bring it across the neck this way. The other side is the same thing. Grab the collar. Use your hand resting on the ground. And as you bring the elbow down, you put your weight on top of the arm this way. Avoid coming down with your body here, because otherwise it's going to be just arm strength. By keeping your body weight up and just leaning, resting on top of this elbow, you have the whole mass of the body pushing the pressure into his neck. So take the slack out with one hand and just drive the weight in. Grab the cloth, take the slack out with one hand, keep your hand down here and push the whole body, driving the elbow to the ground in this manner. So one more time, create the space on the collar, open up the lapel, reach in deep with the hand like this. Be sure that you wrap your 4 fingers on the cloth and the thumb sits on top of the 4 fingers. Second hand grabs underneath here, rest your hand on the ground and bring the blade downwards, keeping your body straight so that you can use the body weight onto the neck this way. Okay. Grab the collar, deep, second hand on the other collar, bring the elbow across and drive the weight downwards. The next technique you're going to see is a nutcracker, where you grab the collar like this, the second hand goes in like this, and using the cloth, the jacket for support, you pull into the cloth and squeeze the knuckles inwards. So grab from this side, the other hand on the other side. Don't just use your hands. Be sure that you pull with the back of your hand here. You use this for support. And then put the knuckles in, driving into the neck this way. If you just grab the collar like this and try to squeeze, it's arm strength. That's not the plan. The plan is to pull on the cloth with the back of your hand here. So you pull onto the cloth and drive the knuckles in. The place to put the pressure is right on the line of the ear, right here, on the nerve on the side of the neck. You don't want to crush the jawbone or the neck or the back of the head. That's not what you want. It's right here. There's a very tender spot right in the middle of the neck, right here. That's what you're looking for. So the knuckles, the top knuckles of your hand will reach in like this, grabbing both hands. Put the neck, the pressure on the neck, and just rest your weight on top of him and drive the knuckles inwards like this. Grab the cloth. Second hand grabs the other collar. Use the knuckles onto the back of the neck right here. Both at the same height. Your partner actually should guide you as far as making sure that you have the right sensitive spot. So sometimes you might put the hands at different heights. It might throw off a little bit the pressure. It doesn't feel as efficient. But if you use your partner as a as a sounding board, he should make sure to line up your hands to the right sensitive spot on the back, on the side of the neck. So one hand, two hands, they grab the cloth. They should be fairly even distance from the ground. Pull on the cloth. The pulling on the cloth is the trick. Don't just use your hands to do this motion. Be sure that you pull, you tug on the cloth and use that to drive the knuckles inwards. Of course, the knuckles on the top of the hand, not these ones here. That's the one. Grab the cloth, pull on the collar, and then drive the knuckles inwards into the neck. Okay. So anyway, so the hands will grab the collar like this. Both hands stay down, and then push the knuckles inwards into the neck. You might want to observe that as you do this move, you should use your elbow or maybe both elbows on the ground for balance, so that you can establish a base here. Don't find yourself, just tingling on the ground with your hands on his neck off balance. I also, at this point, use my feet kind of clamped underneath Royce to hold me from falling forward. I can control my body height, whatever I want. If I don't have this, I will collapse forward. But by using the foot supporting myself underneath Royce, I can go as low and as far as I want. So it gives me much more control on my base. From that position, you can then control how low. Grab the collar, both hands. Use either elbow on the ground for balance. And then push the knuckles into his neck, making sure that you pull on the back of the cloth. The trick is using that cloth for support. That's what you're looking for. So using these feet, establish your position, and then drive the knuckles into the neck. Okay.
Compartilhe nossos vídeos, se inscreva no canal e deixe seu like. Desde já agradecemos.